You're driving and someone suddenly cuts you off. No signal, just a sharp, aggressive swerve right in front of you. What's your first thought that pops into your head? If you're like me, it's probably not a charitable one. It's likely some version of, what a complete idiot, or that jerk could have caused an accident. We instantly paint a picture of the other driver. They're selfish, reckless, a menace to society. We create an entire character profile from a single 2-second interaction. Our heart rate spikes, we feel wronged, and we carry that little knot of anger with us for the next few miles. The whole thing just unravels from there, doesn't it? That brief, blunt email from a colleague, they must be undermining you. That friend who hasn't texted back, they're obviously ignoring you. We're masters at creating stories, and in these stories, we're almost always the victim of someone else's malice. If you're new here, I'm Dennis, and I like to explore everyday things with a curious mind. And today, I want to explore the strange automatic habit we have of assuming the worst in people. There's a fascinating psychological principle at play here, known as the fundamental attribution error. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is simple. When we see someone else do something, we tend to attribute it to their character. But when we do the exact same thing, we attribute it to circumstances. So that driver who cut you off, he's a bad person. But if you accidentally cut someone else, well, you were late for a crucial appointment. You didn't see them in your blind spot. The sun was in your eyes. You had a reason. You're still a good person who just made a mistake. There's even a philosophical razor for this, Handler's razor, which states never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by carelessness. Or maybe not even carelessness. Maybe it's just a different story. Maybe the driver who cut you off was rushing to the hospital. Maybe the person you sent that blunt email was juggling 3 urgent deadlines and a sick child at home. Maybe the friend who didn't text back simply had their phone die. Our brains don't like uncertainty, so they default to the quickest and often the most negative explanation. It's a mental shortcut that feels efficient, but the emotional toll it takes is enormous. And it leads us to the core insight. Choosing to assume good intentions isn't about being naive. It's not about becoming a doormat or ignoring the genuinely harmful behavior. Far from it. It is a deeply practical strategy for preserving your own peace of mind. Think of your mind like a river. When you immediately jump to a negative conclusion, you are stirring up all the mud and sentiment from the riverbed. Everything becomes murky, agitated, and unclear. You can't see anything with clarity. You just feel the turbulent, chaotic flow of anger and resentment. Assuming good intentions is the act of letting the water be still. It's allowing the sediment to settle. It's choosing to start from a place of clarity and calm rather than from a place of conflict. You are not doing it for the other person. You are doing it for yourself. You are choosing to inhabit a world where people are generally doing their best, even if it's clumsy, rather than a world populated by villains you're cast in a movie playing in your head. The consequences of not doing this are all around us. When we constantly assume the worst, we live in a state of low-grade perpetual conflict. We create friction in our relationships. We build walls of resentment with our colleagues, and we turn simple misunderstandings into drawn-out dramas. That murky river becomes our default state. We start to expect the worst from people, and in doing so, we often provoke it. We respond to a blunt email with our own defensive tone, and suddenly a real conflict exists where before there was only a potential one. It's exhausting. It takes so much energy to be constantly on guard, to feel constantly slighted, to be vigilant protector of our own ego. We spend our days cataloging injustices, nursing grievances, and validating our own righteous anger. And for what? It rarely changes the other person, but it always diminishes our own well-being. I had to learn this myself. I used to live next to a family whose dog would bark a lot. And my immediate story was, these people are inconsiderate. They don't care about their neighbors. They just let their dogs bark all day. Every time I heard it, my shoulders would tense up. I'd feel this familiar surge of irritation. My river was constantly muddy. I'd imagine myself marching over there to give them a piece of my mind. And one afternoon, I saw my neighbor outside, and I decided to try a different approach. Instead of complaining, I just asked, "Hey, what's your dog doing? I've been hearing him a bit lately." And the story changed completely. It turned out they had just adopted him from a rescue shelter. He had severe separation anxiety and was terrified of being alone. They were working with a trainer, they were stressed about it, and they were deeply worried about bothering the neighbors. They weren't inconsiderate, they were overwhelmed and trying their best in a difficult situation. In that moment, all of my anger just dissolved. The mud settled, my irritation was replaced by a sense of connection and empathy. I didn't just see them differently, I felt better. The barking didn't magically stop, but no longer bothered me in the same way. It was no longer the sound of inconsiderate neighbors, it was the sound of a scared dog learning to feel safe. And this brings us to a final beautiful piece of nonsense. A sublime contradiction. The most powerful way to protect your own inner peace is to consciously choose the most generous interpretation of people's actions. It sounds backwards, doesn't it? To protect yourself, you should be more open, more trusting. It seems like the path to getting hurt, but being defensive is the guaranteed path to being agitated. True strength isn't in building walls, it's in realizing you don't need them in the first place because your peace doesn't depend on someone else's behavior. This isn't about blind trust, it's about intelligent trust. Start with the assumption of good intent. Give people the benefit of the doubt you so easily give yourself. And if you are presented with clear, repeated evidence that the intent is not good, then you can adjust. You can set boundaries, you can walk away, you can start from a place of calm. By offering this grace to the world, the person who benefits the most is always, without fail, yourself. So until next time, stay curious.
Stay playfully curious.